Death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who...
Death. It's the ultimate unknown, the unavoidable horizon line in the distance of our lives. Yet, death is the single common thread uniting every human being who has ever lived. Memento Mori, a Latin phrase meaning remember you must die, is a call to awaken to the precious, fleeting nature of life and to use that awareness as fuel for living with intention, passion, and gratitude. At first glance, the idea of dwelling on death to improve life might seem paradoxical. But proponents of Memento Mori argue that this constant denial actually diminishes our experience of life. By suppressing thoughts of our finite existence, we become caught in the trivial, the urgent, the never-ending cycle of striving for things that ultimately hold no lasting value. Memento Mori invites us to step off this treadmill and confront a simple yet profound truth. Our time here is limited. The Stoics saw death not as an adversary, but as an integral part of the grand tapestry of existence. To fear death, they argued, was to fear the very rhythm of the cosmos. Instead of shying away from mortality, the Stoics urged us to embrace it, to meditate upon it, to make it a constant companion on our life's journey. This wasn't a call to morbid obsession, but a practice intended to sharpen our appreciation for the precious and fleeting nature of life itself. For the Stoics, the practice of Memento Mori wasn't about succumbing to despair, but about living with a heightened sense of purpose. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, famously wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't a morbid decree, but a call to action, a reminder to live each day as if it were our last. By embracing death, the Stoics believed, we could free ourselves from the shackles of fear and live with courage and integrity. The Stoic practice of Memento Mori is not about becoming obsessed with death, but about using the awareness of our mortality as a powerful tool for living a more fulfilling life. By contemplating our own impermanence, we gain a fresh perspective on what truly matters. When we accept that all things must pass, we can savor the present moment more fully and connect with others with greater authenticity and compassion. By embracing our mortality, we can break free from the chains of fear and step into a life of purpose and profound gratitude. While the Stoics contemplated death to sharpen their focus on virtue, the Buddha offered a different perspective on mortality. Central to Buddhist thought is the concept of anicca, or impermanence. This principle states that everything in the universe is in a constant state of flux, and clinging to the illusion of permanence is a primary source of suffering. Buddhism teaches that death is not an end, but a transition, a movement from one state of being to another. In the face of impermanence, Buddhism offers a path of radical acceptance and liberation. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, our clinging to desires and the illusion of a separate, unchanging self. By recognizing that everything is impermanent, we can begin to loosen the grip of these attachments. This practice of non-attachment allows us to experience life with a sense of spaciousness and freedom. By letting go, we open ourselves to the full spectrum of human experience, embracing both the light and shadow with equanimity and grace. The Buddhist perspective on death and impermanence offers a profound sense of peace and liberation. When we understand that death is a natural part of life's cycle, we can approach it with less fear and more acceptance. The practice of Maranasati, or death awareness meditation, involves visualizing the stages of death and decomposition to cultivate a deep understanding of the impermanent nature of the physical body. By confronting our own mortality, we can begin to loosen the grip of fear and attachment, freeing ourselves to live with greater courage and compassion. The existentialists, grappling with the anxieties of the 20th century, stared into the abyss of a seemingly meaningless universe and found a different kind of liberation. For them, the awareness of death wasn't a path to cosmic order or spiritual liberation, but a stark confrontation with the radical freedom and responsibility that defines the human condition. Existentialism rejects the notion of a preordained meaning or purpose to life. We are born into a world devoid of intrinsic meaning, and it is up to us to create meaning in the face of this terrifying freedom. Imagine standing at a crossroads, countless paths stretching out before you, each representing a different choice, a different potential life. This is the existentialist view of human existence, a constant state of choosing who we will be and what we will stand for in a world devoid of inherent meaning. This freedom can be both exhilarating and terrifying. On the one hand, it empowers us to break free from societal expectations and forge our own path. On the other hand, this freedom comes with the weight of responsibility for our choices and their consequences. So how do we live with this radical freedom, this daunting responsibility? The existentialists offer no easy answers. Instead, they challenge us to embrace the absurdity of existence, to find meaning in the act of creating meaning, to live authentically in the face of our own mortality. For Albert Camus, finding meaning in a meaningless universe meant rebelling against the absurd. This act of creation, of imposing order on chaos, is the essence of existentialist meaning-making. The beauty of Memento Mori lies not in its morbidity, but in its practicality. Each morning, take a moment to pause and reflect on your own mortality. This simple act of remembrance can have a profound impact on how we approach our day. It allows us to step outside the hamster wheel of busyness and recalibrate our priorities. Suddenly, the petty annoyances that once loomed large begin to shrink in significance. For many, the thought of death evokes fear, anxiety, a desire to push the uncomfortable reality aside and focus on more pleasant things. Memento Mori doesn't ask us to deny these feelings, but rather to harness their energy, to transform them from paralyzing fear into motivating action. Imagine for a moment that you were given a finite number of days to live. How would you spend them? What relationships would take on new significance? What dreams would you finally pursue? What regrets would you strive to avoid? By confronting our mortality, even hypothetically, we gain clarity on what truly matters in our lives. This isn't about becoming consumed by a race against time. but rather about aligning our actions with our values. If we knew our time was limited, would we waste it on mindless distractions, toxic relationships, or pursuits that brought us no real joy? Or would we strive to live with intention, to prioritize the things that brought us meaning, to connect more deeply with those we loved? The practice of Memento Mori invites us to live each day as if it were a microcosm of our desired life, a chance to make choices that reflect our deepest values and aspirations. Embracing memento. Mori isn't about becoming obsessed with death, but about developing a heightened awareness of life's precious and fleeting nature. It's about infusing each day with a sense of purpose, gratitude, and a deep appreciation for the simple gifts that often go unnoticed. Practice gratitude. Take a few moments each day to reflect on the things you're grateful for, no matter how small. Simplify your life, examine your commitments, possessions, and obligations. Connect with nature, spend time outdoors, immersing yourself in the natural world. Nature reminds us that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Living a life of memento mori is an ongoing practice, a journey of self-discovery and transformation. By remembering that we must die, we awaken to the preciousness of each breath, each interaction, each fleeting moment. We begin to live with a heightened sense of purpose, gratitude, and a deep appreciation for the simple yet profound beauty of being alive. Throughout history, philosophers and spiritual leaders have urged us to confront death, not to dwell in morbidity, but to unlock a deeper understanding of life itself. From the Stoics' pursuit of virtue to the Buddhists' embrace of impermanence, to the existentialist call to create meaning in a meaningless universe, each perspective offers a unique lens through which to view our own mortality and its implications for how we live. What unites these seemingly disparate philosophies is the recognition that death is not an enemy to be feared, but a fundamental truth to be embraced. It is the very finitude of our existence that gives life its preciousness, its urgency, its bittersweet beauty. By acknowledging our own mortality, we are freed from the illusions of permanence that often lead to suffering, the clinging to possessions, the pursuit of fleeting pleasures, the fear of change. Death, in this sense, becomes a great teacher, a guide on the path to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. It reminds us to prioritize what truly matters, to let go of what no longer serves us, to live each day with intention and gratitude. It allows us to see through the superficial and connect with the deeper currents of existence, the love, compassion, and creativity that lie at the heart of the human experience. Memento Mori, the practice of remembering death, is not a morbid fascination but a life-affirming philosophy. It is a call to awaken to the precious, fleeting nature of our own existence and to use that awareness as fuel for living with greater purpose, passion, and joy. It is a call to embrace the present moment, to savor the simple pleasures, to connect deeply with others, to pursue our passions with a renewed sense of urgency. It is a call to live each day as if it were our last, not in a reckless or hedonistic sense, but with a clarity of purpose, a deep appreciation for the gift of life, and a commitment to leaving the world a little brighter than we found it. So let us not shy away from the reality of death, but rather embrace it as a constant companion, a reminder to live fully, love deeply, and make each moment count. For in the words of the poet Mary Oliver, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So, what do you think? Does contemplating death make life better, or is it a dangerous idea? Drop your thoughts and comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, you must die, so live.